Well, hello there and a very warm welcome to this week's instalment of Off the Leash. We are at episode number 12 and the Category 1 conveyor belt keeps on coming. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe and tune in every Wednesday to our Greyhound chatter. As ever, we're in fantastic top-class company, open-class company. Tony Bullen of the Racing Post joins us. Tony, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, Dave. As I say, it's just I'm very repetitive every week. It's just the racing is so good. Variety, we've got variety of distances, puppy competitions, staying competitions, marathon competitions. Ticks a lot of boxes, this current climate in the sport.
Does indeed. Right, last week, Stars of the Future, and we saw the Stars of Now as well. And we're going to dive straight into last week. We're going to look back before we look forward because we've got the £17,500 Bresbet Gym Crack starting on Sunday at Sheffield and the £12,500 Arc Grand Prix kicking off at Sunderland on Friday night. But we will go back to Monmore on Saturday afternoon. As I mentioned, the Stars of the Future were on show here, and it was Untold Dollar, a ground who I'm a massive, massive fan of. Chased home in the final by Barntic Bear and Clona Curly. Now, the winner came from Trap 2. 3 and 6 was second and third. The winner looks very good, Tony, 28-21. I think the runner-up and the third both look real nice prospects. And I think we'll see them in an even better light over a stiffer four-bend trip, perhaps at Toaster.
Yeah, 100%. What I like about the Untold Dollar dog, he ain't really mastered the art of trapping, but the pace that he shows to the turn is very eye-catching, and he's brave at the bend as well. He was feeling a lot of heat from Omar Hurty in Trap 5, and even Droopy's Eunice was up there on the inside, but he's just a dog that's determined. I like to see that in any pup. They just want to get on the bunny. All of a sudden, Barntic Bear showed nice middle pace to slot in to contention going into the third and fourth bends, but he had to check over the back of the leader. But all credit to the first, second and third, who I do agree will be seen to better effect over a stiffer true four bends, Dave.
Okay, Untold Dollar, 50-1 for this year's Derby. Next target, I've heard, might be maybe a puppy competition down at Hove. 50-1 Barntic Bear, which I like the look of. I think this dog's going to be a monster over 500 metres. Only concern I have with him, Tony, is perhaps he's certainly a dog that looks as if he favours an inside draw. Yeah,
he does. I mean, I think he's got 29-14 to his name over the 500 metres at Toaster. I think there'll be some very quick times done at Toaster in the coming months. I think the track's got a little bit quicker, and the Clona dog will certainly relish the stiffer four bends.
Yeah, 33-1 as well, Clona Curly, that one in for the Derby as well. Right, they are the Stars of the Future, but at Central Park on Saturday night, the Stars of Now and some British bred superstars were on show. The £12,500 Arc Chem Plate, won last year by Liz McNair with her from Post to Pillar, and she sent 4 out in the final on Saturday night, 491 metres. And they came home 2-4-6. Queen Johnny in Trap 2, making the bend and making all. King Memphis in 4, and YI Man for Mark Wallace did finish third. So it wasn't a 1-2-3 for the McNair camp, but she's very smart, isn't she? She was perhaps overlooked. She had the inside draw, and she wouldn't be too far behind, I think, the likes of King Capaldi and King Memphis, but she had the inside line. She broke, she held it, and she kicked on and made all.
Yeah, the female of the species was deadlier than the male in this final. Obviously, it was all Rayla final, so the break was going to be crucial. But what I liked with her is it's just her attitude when she gets on the bunny. She won the Produce Stakes at Swindon, won the British Bred Derby at Sheffield. The King Memphis dog, he's still a proper dog. Like, although he's been beaten on merit here, you could see him. He wanted the inside, and as much as he applied a bit of pressure at the third bend, you could see he just wanted to lug across up the home straight, but she doesn't stop. She's like the Duracell bunny is Queen Joni.
Yeah, she's very game out in front. I've seen quotes from Rad McNair as well, Liz's husband, that, you know, draws and on any given day, you know, this crop of stars that they have can almost beat each other. Obviously, King Capaldi was a ground who I'm a big fan of, and I fancied him to smash out and make all. Once he didn't smash out, he was always going to dive in cross, and he caused lots of problems in behind. He is a ground that's been well backed for the Derby, and that would always be a concern for me with him. King Memphis, perhaps a tilt at the laurels mentioned there, but Queen Johnny, you won't have to wait long to see her because she's running her trial stakes at Hove for the upcoming Coral Brighton Bell Cat 1 action, and she's, of course, going to be a big player for that. Right, we've looked back. Now let's look forward because 36 hopefuls will line up at Sunderland on Friday night, 640 metres. Often a competition, this one, Tony, in which you see strong running 4-bend dogs chance their arm off the front. Long straights, tight turns at Sunderland, but a nice, decent trip this and a decent run to the corner.
Yeah, it still takes some getting the 640 metres. The time factor tells you that as well, Dave. I mean, an event that I've always been fond of. It was at Walthamstow back in the day, and always a hotly contested contest. And I think it's found its home in Sunderland, in fairness.
Right, so let's have a look at the runners and riders then for the opener. Now, no prices yet. Recording this on a Wednesday morning, but I'm sure they'll appear on Friday morning. But the main man who does all the tissue in the racing post is at hand here. So Tony, I'm sure, can give us a steer at what the market might just look like. Now, Savannah Shea on the inside is shortest of these in the outright book, around about a 16-1 chance. Likely to be favourite, I'd say, Tony, but I'm not convinced this one will get home. He won at Toaster last time purely because the leader in that race stopped chasing and the race turned out to be a bit of a muddling affair. He hit the front and he did put a 29.36 on the board. He'll probably lead into the turn, but stamina, question marks over 1. 3's got a good card both in the UK and Ireland. How do you see it?
Well, Free's the interesting runner. Been off for a while, and he's got some good form to his name, but it's hard to gauge. Only connections or those behind the scenes will know how up together the bold Freddie is. Savannah Shea's, he's a fast dog. He's very inconsistent. He's a leggy dog. He looks like, no disrespect to him, he's a bit of a gangly action type of dog. But when everything clicks, he can run for sure. But I like the look of Agile Ange here. I like Debbie Calvert's bitch. Seen her at Doncaster over 4 bends. Sort of is yet to fully convince for me. Like she needs to be off the front, but I think that sprint, I like the fact that they've give her the sprint trial. That's the boxes that you're going to race out of. Rather than give her a 450 metres, come out the boxes that you're going to be racing out of. And I think that will stand her in good stead here. I haven't had an in-depth look at these pricing-wise, but I reckon Savannah Shea 6-7-4. Agile Ange will probably be about a similar sort of 7-4, 2-1 shot. And the bold Freddie dog, they won't be massive him. He'd be like 7-2, 4 shot, I reckon. But that's just having a quick glance at them.
Yeah, always the concern I have when they do that, and that's trying them over the sprint box, is that you're just praying that when they get round to the drop the first time, they keep going. They don't ease up and think that perhaps the hare's going to come to a standstill. I thought it was a very tricky race. I'm going to go with March on Frankie for Harry Burton and the Hammerfoot Syndicate. A couple of trials which were okay over course and distance, but it's got winning form over 6 bends, 640 metres at Newcastle. And that's a big box ticked for me because not all of these have got winning form over this kind of trip. So tricky race, the opener, that's the 751. The Grand Prix kicks off at Sunderland on Friday night. Right, we move on to Heat 2, which will be the 807. And Savannah Heros on the inside, St Ledger semi-finalist, winner of the Queen Mother Memorial Cup at Sheffield. We've got a St Ledger finalist in here as well, Lightfoot Clark Imes, a Dancers come back to in a little bit of form as well. We'll get your views, Tony, but while we get your views, we'll have a look at Savannah Heros doing the business. This was at Sheffield last month, winning the £3,000 Queen Mother Memorial over the 660 at Sheffield. Hurry Up Jordan was back in second in trap 6, the Bye Kid in third, trap 5, but Savannah Heros 39.21 here in the red jacket, was headed, came back for more and looked strong enough over this trip.
Yeah, it did. I mean, when the Hurry Up Jordan dog struck the front, I thought that was Savannah Heros' chance gone, but he did battle back really well. Obviously, they tried him over at an extreme marathon. That just proved a little bit too fast, lung bursting for Savannah Heros. Hopefully, it hasn't taken its toll. I think the draw's ideal. Lack of a look round is a concern always at Sunderland, but I think the way the draw's worked out, Connections will be pleased on both counts.
Yeah, inside line, and as I've already mentioned, a nice long run to the turn. This dog's got nice early speed, and as we saw at Sheffield, he maybe just sort of hit a little bit of a flat spot and came back for more. This is his trial, I thought. You know, he's not had the trial as Tony suggested, but he's got enough pace to get off the front and just enjoy himself, feel his way around, because it is a tricky track, right? These long straights and tight turns can find dogs out.
Oh yeah, they can move off. They can move off dramatically as well. There could be all sorts going on. I mean, Savannah Shea in the first heat, he could move off quite violently because he's quite a leggy dog. But I think Savannah Heros has found a perfect heat. Even if he makes an error, I think he scrambles through worse way.
2 votes for Savannah Heros there?
Yep, 100%.
100%. Right, let's move on to Heat 3, the 8:22. And a tricky little race here because Mini Bullet, who's a class act over 4 and 6 bends, I think 6 Cat 1 finals last year for Mark Wallace's star. Mark, of course, won this competition last year with Kunoff Crow, who we'll get to in the next heat or two. I'm going to nail my colours to the mast very early here with Savannah Jazz, who I have no idea what sort of price is going to be here because there's quite a few in here. I think there's 3 greyhounds in here chalked up a shorter price than her in the outright market. But she comes without a trial, which I think is actually a positive thing here because she's a quirky bitch and a change of scenery might just bring her alive and she will catch anything. Don't expect to see her show up early on. She, of course, ran in the TV Trophy final, wasn't to be, turned up at Monmore on Saturday and was very, very impressive. She's in good form. She'll stay the strip strongly. And I'm going to go with the stripes. What about yourself, Tony?
Yeah, I'm going to take a chance with Farney's Willie here. Again, got bits patchy form on his travels, but you'd expect him to have the legs of Savannah Jazz. 4's trial wasn't anything out of the ordinary. Mini Bullet, you just touched on, what great credit to connections. 4, 6 and 8 bends she's proven over. I think the local in 1's probably sort of making up the numbers, like a few locals have entered to sort of just buffer the numbers. Savannah Titan, obviously not a prolific winner, but enjoyed a confidence-boosting win at Toaster last time out. But yeah, I think 6 will be running on strongly. But I'm going to take a chance with Farney's Willie that could just turn in a handy position.
Yeah, for trainer and owner there, Richard Wells, Farney Willie. So best of luck to him. But Savannah Jazz, I'm going to go with, and I think it's definitely one to chuck in your fullcast and tricast there in the stripes. Right, Heat 4 is the 8:37. And I thought this was, again, quite a tricky little race to put together here. Dapper Mac, a ground previously trained by John Mullins, I think it was. Now with Gary Hamilton, has been off the card, but this dog has got bags of pace. Like, he could win opens over 4 bends, and I thought it was a really interesting runner on the inside. How did you see it, Tony, this one?
Yeah, tricky race this. I mean, Dapper Mac, again, trials suggest that he's ready to rumble. Got a good draw on the inside. He should be prominent on the rails, but trial fitness and race fitness are 2 different things. And I thought Greenwell Ange, if she can reproduce that 39.29 prep trial, that would probably suffice. I think anything near that time, that would probably suffice. Obviously, she's the type in a solo to do that time. In a race, she's turning from off the pace, so you're not necessarily going to be posting that faster time. Brinkley's Magic is awesome in full flight, but I think he struggles to find a way past Dapper Mac. And Ballymac John Joe, you ignore at your peril. But I think the bitch Greenwell Ange here likely raced for John Flattersby.
Yeah, very, very shrewd kennel there, the Greenwell prefix. And as Tony says, trials for show, races for dough. And we'll find out, won't we, about Dapper Mac. And, of course, Greenwell Ange as well. I thought, that 39.29 trial is very, very eye-catching. Going to get my vote as well. Very lightly raced, 16 starts, 2 wins and 4 seconds. And I thought could come through late to score there. Brinkley's Magic, an interesting runner. But again, another one not guaranteed to get home. It's a long run for home off the last bend at Sunderland, the 6:40. Right, we'll move on then to heat number 5 then, which will be the 8:52 on Friday night. Remember, of course, live on the Premier Greyhound Racing Service behind the red button on Sky Sports Racing. And step forward, the defending champion here, Kunoff Crow in trap 3 for Mark Wallace. Lay or play for you, Tony? We'll have a look at this one. She's very, very classy. She lowered the track record at Central Park recently from track 1, 40.38. She had Tuano Bella in 2 and Stories Fuse in 3 behind her, and she arrives in decent enough form.
Yeah, I mean, she's going to be the one to beat in this heat. She proved that. She runs the track last year. It's a tricky little draw for her because I think there's a bit of pace on the inside and on the outside. She's going to have to track cleverly. But one thing I've noticed with Kuna Crow, don't know about yourself, I think she's got stronger as she's got older.
Definitely.
And I think Frida Melli's the key to this race because Frida Melli's a little bit of a chasey type for me. Got a bit of all-round pace, but I think one puts herself into contention at some stage. And if Kuna Crow can track cleverly, I think she brings that stamina that she's got in the locker nowadays into play.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I remember seeing her previously over the 6 bends. I think it was at Central Park. She looked like a non-stayer, but not the case now. I think she looks a lot stronger. 11 wins from 44 starts. She's the defending champion as well. Slight concern for me would be if you was to tell me that Kuna Crow's had a spin round Monmore over 4 bends, I'd expect her to go quicker than 28.73. Now, we know that she's got enough in the tank to do the best part of a second lap of that track at Monmore. But I just thought maybe Greenwell Grace could get first run here if showing that urgency, early pace into the corner, been running well over 4 bends at Doncaster. It could be a case of catch me if you can. And Kuna Crow might just edge inside as well out of track 3. So going to be the black jacket for me there. But you're with the defending champ?
I am, yeah.
I am. Short and sweet, but confident from Tony Bullen there of the Racing Post. I am. Right, the 6th and final heat, which will be the 9:07 on Friday night. I Am to Sydney is a greyhound who is in flying form over 4 and 6 bends, and he's certainly well respected in the outright market as well, which we'll have a look at very shortly. I think he's second in. Looks likely to lead early on here, Tony. Will he be caught?
I think he should sail into the semi-finals with me. I know he hasn't had a look round. This is as far as he wants. I mean, he found that 684 metres in that dual distance event at Monmore stretching. But he's a very good dog. I mean, I always remember the buckle that he had with Lockhill Jess at Crayford in that semi-final of the gold collar. He's got it all, and I think track and trip will play to his strengths. Again, I think Connections will be pleased with the draw. Infield Charm's very fast, but she should have probably won more races than she has.
Yeah, I Am to Sydney as well. 28.88 over the 500 at Toaster as well. Taking a few 6-bend competitions. We might see him in the Derby as well, but he's going to make all for you?
I think he'll out-middle these comfortably.
Okay, right. Well, I'm going to take a chance with Infield Charm. Again, the trial, 39.23, is very, very good. And I just wonder whether Tom's had problems with this bitch, Tom Hilborn, the trainer, because she's an October 21. Remember when she first started racing in the UK and she showed a massive, massive engine. And as you rightly mentioned, she's sort of been a little bit of a magnet for trouble, but she's very lightly raced, and her trial suggests she's ready to rumble. And if she tucks in behind I Am to Sydney and gets a toe round on the first lap, then it might be race on coming home. So she's going to be, for me, Infield Charm there. Again, another one to stick in your fullcast and tricast there. I think will qualify. I'm going to take a chance. Could come through and score Infield Charm in Heat 6 of the Grand Prix on Friday night at Sunderland. And we'll now tackle the outright market then. And it's going to be I Am to Sydney, who is the jolly with the firms, some of the firms. Savannah Heros at 5, I Am to Sydney at 4-1. Kunoff Crow at 8. Ballymac John Joe 12. Mini Bullet 12. 14 bar. Now, I'll let you have the honour here. Tony, where are we going?
I'll be with Savannah Heros. As I say, I Am to Sydney. He could put up a fast time, but I do think the Savannah Heros dog's got a good draw, and even if he makes an error, I think he's going to improve a bundle for his second look round. Obviously, you ignore the defending champs at your peril, but I just think Savannah Heros, the way he battled well in the Queen Mother Memorial, he's got it in the tank to dig deep when required.
Yeah, and he'd be race fit as well because he's been quite well campaigned recently, and that could be a factor, something to look at coming into this competition. Is grounds that have been racing. There's quite a few in here that have been off the card and just got trials. I know we've tipped 1 or 2 of them in the opening round. But race fitness, conditioning, 640 metres, 3 rounds, first 3, first 2, and then the final over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to go with a Graham that is definitely race fit and could probably go around again at Sunderland, and that is Savannah Jazz, who I'm very surprised is 22 to 1 with some of the bookmakers. Now, is this bitch fast enough to win the final? I'm not so sure, but she is quirky, she's chasey. I think she'd catch anything. And I think she's guaranteed to qualify this week. Can she be in the top 2 next week? I think so. And then we're into the final at 22 to 1. Anything can happen. I think she's a shoo-in for a place should she get to the final. She cannot be this big. I think she's far too big at 22, just on the each way angle more than anything else. But she is quirky and she could catch anything. So I'm going all in, Savannah Jazz each way at 22 to 1. And hopefully we can fetch in some of the market leaders in the final in a couple of weeks' time. Remember, all the action will be live on the Premier Greyhound Racing Service behind the red button on Sky Sports Racing. Right, they are the 6 seats in the outright for the first competition kicking off this weekend. We're not going to drill too far down into the gym crack, because at the time of recording we haven't even got the entries yet. But a Greyhound that is certain to be in it, and I'll be amazed if there's anything ahead of him in the market, for the £17,500 Bresbet Gym Crack is going to be Jimmy Fenwick's Wiki Ned. And we're going to look at his UK debut here. This was last week over course and distance from track 3 in a maiden, 28.45, and he banged out a maiden. Hazelhill Coco in 6th was 2nd. Liston's Wish in 1 was 3rd. Spoke to Jimmy Fenwick about this one, Tony. They did the deal. They bought the dog after a run at Cork, and 16 people rang up after trying to buy him, and you can see why.
Yeah, he's got it all. I mean, it's one of them dogs that the trainer probably gets over and goes, this could be the fastest I've ever put a lead on. I mean, the amount of times you hear that phrase, but this dog looks the real deal. I like the fact that Jimmy entered in for a maiden rather than a puppy. Win your maiden. The maiden can sometimes be an easier assignment than a puppy, and they don't get in your way, but good all-round pace, nice bit of early, saw out the trip really well. As you say, he's going to be one of the anti-post favourites for the entire event when the draw comes out.
Yeah, so we look forward to that. He's 50 to 1 for the Derby. He's only had 2 races in his life, but he's going to be a short price for that. And of course, Bresbet doing the bonus as well, 10 grand, so they could cop a right few quid if they were to win the Gym Crack and go on to win the Derby. But let's not get ahead of ourselves yet. He looks a nice type, so stick him in the notebook and maybe have a couple of quid each way for the Derby. Who knows? He looks a smart prospect. Right, it's that time then. Best bets of the week. And usually I'll throw to you, Tony, because you've got the honour. But it was me that did the business last week with Miss Sid. You let the team down. But we'll forgive you, because in the 11 episodes we've recorded previously, you've carried the show with your number of winners. I'm going to go with Newin DJ, 7:21 at Hove on Saturday night. Now, I love this dog. He's running at Central Park, chasing home the likes of King Memphis. It wasn't to be in the Kent Plate. Got a massive engine. He's lightly raced. The champion trainer at the end of the lead in Mark Wallace. I think this is a Derby dog. And the 515 at Hove will suit. So he will do for me on Saturday night at Hove. There's not a lot of speed on in that race, and he could go around in the pitch. And I think he'll blow him away down the far side. Tony Bullen, best bet of the week is?
I've gone this at Hove as well. It's that competition. I'm in heat 3. Gary the Arb, I like, for Belinda Green. Returns to home soil. Got 2 wins at Hove. Also got a couple of wins at Monmore and a win at Toaster. So the dog's showing the right attitude. I think this is a race that he could probably front off the second bend. And that being the case, I think as much as there's some strong runners in there, Gary the Arb's is strong as well. So, yeah, I like Gary the Arb in the 7:37, the Coral Saturday night, 5:15, dogs heat 3.
16 minutes later, there you go. A quick fire double from us here on Off the Leash. This has been episode 12. We thank Tony for his time and expertise as ever. No show next week. Easter holidays. Tony's off on an Easter hunt, pursuit of the Easter bunny and some chocolate eggs, I'm sure. We'll be back, though. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time to tackle the Gym Crack final and the Grand Prix final. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe to the Racing Post YouTube channel. Do get in touch with us. We'll read out your comments and answer your questions. And more than anything else, of course, do remember to gamble responsibly. We'll see you next time.